My name is Paul Fo. I run a company called Sales Factory Africa. We are a sales training and a recruitment business and a software business. We are launching our software on selling today. That's wild. We have offices in the UK, so in Lagos, the UK, and Dubai. I write for Forbes.com. I've written 3 articles for them, and I write my own newsletter, over 300 articles every week, called The Full Letters. A bit about me, I've written 7 books. Been married for 15 years to my paddy. We have 3 children. My first son is 13, second son is 12, last son is 9. My children play soccer. They are about to start a soccer academy. So my retirement is being sorted as we speak. So we start first with mindsets. Because at the end of the day, everything rises and falls on the way that we think. That's the truth. The first statement I want to make here today is this. If you can sell, you will never be broke another day of your life. Selling is a skill. And what is a skill? A skill means the application of knowledge, all right, in doing something. True of us. You went to driving school. You acquired knowledge on how to drive. You held a car and then you applied it to drive that car. It is a skill. Now, what that statement also means is that there's a democratization of that skill. That means anybody can learn it. Second statement, all of us really are in sales, right? Because if sales is about influencing people, you need to influence people to do what you want them to do for you to survive in this earth. True of us. So I say here that every level of change that you want to see in our lives must begin from our beliefs. We are all in this quest because we want to see change in our finances. We want to see change in our sales. Is it not so? But the genesis of every change is what you believe. A belief is a repeated thought. Now here's the funny thing about your belief. Because you repeat that thought over and over again, the way the world is structured is that you will not find evidences around you to support that belief. So any belief you choose, you will start finding the evidences around you to support that this thing is true. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Your belief is a choice. Why don't you choose a belief that empowers you? Belief is not a denial of what is going on outside. Does that make sense to anybody? When you believe that you can make sales, you can close a sale, you are not denying the fact that the naira is behaving somehow. Am I talking to somebody? You are not denying the fact that we have insecurity in Nigeria. Does that make sense to anybody? You are aware of that, but you have decided to believe that I can do this. What is your mindset? It's basically the way that you see the world. The world is not the way that... The world is your interpretation of it. If the glass I'm wearing is green, what will I see outside? Everything will what? Is everything really green? It is red in my own eye because of the lens through which I am looking at it. Did you get that? That means that people who succeed at the higher level in their lives, there is a lens through which they are looking at this life. I was at a conference in the city of London, central London, O2 Arena. I was in a real estate conference. Nigerian guys were there. One guy said he's building some apartments in Lekki Phase 1, about 14, maybe 15. Over 50 million naira. He said somebody walked up to him and said, I'm buying all. The person bought all. I don't think you heard me. Oh, don't answer me now. This same Nigeria where they say there's no money. This is recent, though. The guy bought all. The lens through which you are looking, is it empowering you? Because it is not what's going on outside that is affecting you. It is your interpretation of the way that you are looking at it. Does that make sense to anybody? It's a programming. You grow up to believe that you need to see men in a certain way or see women in a certain way. Women are not like that. It is just the way that you are programmed. Here that the most important decision we make is whether we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. Now look at the word there. Decision. Because if you decide that you live in a friendly world, the world becomes friendly to you, right? If you decide that you live in a hostile world, the world becomes hostile to you. As you think, so you become. It's not a new concept. What you think is what you become. You tend to see more of the thing that you think. How many of you have ever thought about a particular shoe or car before long you start seeing that shoe or car all over the place? Has that ever happened to you before? Are you telling me that the day you thought about it, that's the thing was created? No, the thing has always been there, but your awareness level was not heightened. That means if you think about poverty long enough, you find it too. Talk to me, somebody now. It's the same. It's not the same concept. If you think about it, that means if you think about what you want, you tend to see it in your environment. Why don't you lock your attention on specifically what you want? The challenge is that many people don't know how to sustain their focus on exactly what they want, but they know how to sustain their focus on what they don't want. I don't think you heard me. So the question is, if you focus on, does it serve you? It doesn't serve you. Go to a hotel, it's filled up. People are paying. All the rooms are filled up. The hotel where I'm staying, the room is everywhere filled up. Okay, there's no money. Where the money day now? Dr. Chinyere, I went to, Nami won't coach them. They says, coach, this 60 units is so, I said, how much? Over $100,000. Where the people, where the money day? That means we are listening to the wrong narrative. Oh. I've been in Nigeria now for like 2 weeks. I work every day since I came home. I never rest one full day. Every day, one job after the other. One job after the other. Why? There's no money here now. Good. Everybody repeat after me, say, I am allowed. Come on now. So look at your neighbor, say, I am allowed. Look at your neighbor, say, I permit myself. No. Look at them, say, I permit myself. You see, living in Ikoyi is not for some people. It's for all of us. Oh! Next. Self-awareness. Somebody say self-awareness. You cannot make a change until you are aware. Is it not so? All change starts from self-awareness. Because self-awareness helps you to make better choices. Better choices help you to take better actions. Better actions help you to get better outcomes. Does that make sense to anybody? What is a presupposition? A presupposition is a belief you bring into a situation beforehand. A presupposition is a belief that you bring into, you want to do something, right? You just start that thing with a belief. And when you believe that it works for you, how many of you wanted to do something, you just say to yourself, even if it don't work, I'll just do it. Talk to me something. That's a presupposition. She said that there are two types of mindset on the earth. There is the fixed mindset, and then there is the growth mindset. The fixed mindset people are people that believe that your capacities and your abilities are fixed. There's a woman that wrote a book called Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. I'm going to recommend some books for you as we go along. I love to read a lot. I love to listen to podcasts a lot. If you don't read or listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video, you are actually leaving money on the table because there's a lot of information out there. A lot. She said that there are two types of mindset on the earth. There is the fixed mindset, and then there is the growth mindset. The fixed mindset people are people that believe that your capacities and your abilities are fixed. That you are either born with it, or you are not, or you are connected. Fixed mindset person will see somebody making sales and say, oh, he or she is naturally good at talking. Does that make sense to anybody? Or she get connect. Am I talking to somebody? Hello? Or she de waka. Am I talking to somebody? Now, if you believe all those things, will you bother to try? Your mindset is fixed. It's either you have it or you don't. Is it not so? God. I went to interview a big real estate entrepreneur for my podcast. I have a podcast. I've interviewed 2 billionaires in the podcast in this season. The guy said when he started his company, he gave his complimentary car to his uncle. And his uncle looked at him because he came from a very poor. He said, he actually slept on the street in Lagos here. Grew up in Mushi. He said his uncle said to him that, why are you putting CEO on your card? Maybe I know your papa. He said it's rich people that sell real estate. You are from a poor family. And you see, Fixed Man said, as the uncle is not a wicked person. That's his perception of the world. That's his model of the world. Really. You may think he's wicked, but he's talking from his model, his experience. He doesn't have a reference point. Your point of reference forms your beliefs. The uncle said, I know where they come from now. Why they put CEO? Why they proud? The guy is so rich, and I said, do you help your uncle? He said, I don't help my uncle. He said every time, he said his uncle's wife's shop is close to some of his sites. That his uncle wife used to see all his officials passing by. Pia, pia, pia. Here's the thing. The uncle is not wicked. The uncle has a fixed mindset. The uncle believes that if you don't get connect, you cannot succeed. Talk to me, somebody. The uncle believes that if you don't know how to talk well, you cannot sell. Am I talking to somebody? It's a fixed mindset. Growth mindset is people that gap between where they are, where they be, a knowledge gap. That if they bridge that gap with knowledge, it will close the gap. The growth mindset people believe that there are no failures, there's only feedback. If I try it, if it doesn't work like this, I will try another way. I'll give you an example. I was doing sales training for Tony Lumelu's companies. You know the same for Instagram, Nabi. So I was doing training for some of his group of companies. One of the staff said, they say, Paul, I believe what you're saying. I say, why? She said, during the pandemic in 2020, I've always wanted to bake cake, but I didn't have the time. I couldn't go to any culinary school. She said, every day I was watching like 10 YouTube videos on how to bake. She said, Paul, there is no cake on this earth that I cannot bake today. Right now, I actually bake and sell. I have still not gone to a culinary school. That is a growth mindset. Do you know people watch YouTube videos to make bomb? Answer me now. They sit themselves, watch 20, 50, 100 YouTube videos to make bomb to keep people. You cannot spend 40 minutes to watch YouTube videos. It's a growth mindset. How do you develop? You break your sales activities into what they call chunks. Because the best way to grow a skill is to have chunks. Does that make sense to anybody? If you watch when they train footballers, they don't tell them to be running around the field. They say, today we are working on your leg. That's it. Tomorrow we are working on your stamina. Am I talking to somebody? Because Bruce Lee put it well. He said, I'm not afraid of the man that has 1,000 kicks. I'm afraid of the man that mastered one kick 1,000 times. So you break down your sales into, I make sales calls, I do videos, I do whatever. You break it down, and then you say to yourself, how do I improve on each of the chunk? That is how you get better. Those of you that I called to attend this class, or your boss that I called, when I finish making the call, I will grade myself on the call on a scale of 1 to 10. I will ask myself, how did this call go? Because the best way to develop a growth mindset is through feedback. Does that make sense to anybody? This is why having a coach or a mentor is important, because you cannot read the label when you're inside the bottle. Oh, I don't think you heard me. So the best way to get better at this is you track yourself. How many of you track your sales activities? Now, can you imagine you recording your sales calls with this type of activity? Get an extra phone, record like 2 calls a week. Why do you think that you call MTN? MTN will tell you this call is being recorded for quality assurance purpose. And you don't hear? Every big company in the world, they do it. How come you don't do it? Because they go back and play the tape for their people to get better. And you're wondering why you don't really get better at closing on the phone, because you don't even listen to yourself. You don't have a self-feedback developmental tool. How do you get better at it? Because you will enter next year now, your ability to close on the phone or in person has not dramatically improved because you have not seen where you need to work on. That's a growth mindset. Don't ever be. I used to be a stammerer. I talk every day. I put on the video every single day. Now, let me get a bit side on you now. This thing about growth and fixed mindset. For example, if all of us are walking right now, there's fresh grass in front of us. If we walk on the fresh grass, what will we create? A path. Two of us. If we walk on that path over and over again, what will we create? A road. Now watch it. Your brain and my brain is like that. There are what they call neural pathways in our brains. So when you do an activity over and over again, you get better at doing it. The neural pathway responsible for that activity, it becomes easier to do it. That's why they say habits are very easy to form, but very hard to stop. Does that make sense to anybody? Because the pathway has been embedded in the brain. So if you do a particular sales activity every single day, it looks as if you are talented. It's not about talent. You wired it into yourself. The mind, the second thing about your mind is blind. Your mind is blind. It doesn't know the difference between an imagined experience or a real experience. If you think about someone that hurt you 2 weeks ago, you start getting hurt more and more, two of us. As if it is just happening. He can't tell the difference. When Moabudu said if you can think it, you can do it, he's right. Because anything you think about, you will trigger the emotion in your body as if it is taking place. That's why many people say that riches starts first from your thinking. You need to feel it first. And as you feel it, you release the vibration. You attract into your life the things that will, the physical counterpart of that. So every day I write down my goals. I want to be vulnerable to all of you here. There is no day I do not write down my goals. I repeat it every day. This is 2020, May. I wrote it down that I was going to move to the UK with my wife and children. I didn't know how. I never buy tickets. I don't know what to do. But I wrote it down. And every day I read this into myself. Every single day. Everything I needed to make that happen, I attracted it. I have always wanted to live in Lagos, in London, and in Dubai. I hawked recharge card in this Port Harcourt. Nothing is impossible. It's very powerful. I've always wanted to be able to fly into Lagos, do my business, fly to Dubai, do my business, fly to Lagos, do my business. This is the principle. Nothing. I don't get any connector. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. I know the Almighty God, and I know these principles. It works. Some of you look at your goals only once in a while. I look at my own every day, every single day. This class, I read this goal to myself every day. I wanted only 70 people. I drew your faces in my vision board. Oh, Jesus. See what I did? I did like this. I just draw my face like this. I draw 70 of them like this. But you know, it exceeds your expectations. Hey, Jesus. Hey! How many people there now? Everything is already in existence. They're not manufacturing anything. Really, your main job is to manifest. That's why the best prayer are prayers of gratitude. It is already done. Not be saying because you won't buy a house, that go begin to manufacture house for Nigeria. There, your house is in somebody's pocket. This shit works, man. This shit works, man. The challenge is some of us, we don't sustain our goals for a long time. Some of you, the goal you set for yourself this year, you never look and since. But you know the funny thing? We can sustain our anger, our bitterness for the whole year, but we cannot sustain our desire for the whole year. Someone say priming. Now what I did is what you call priming. Priming basically means that the first stimulus you see affects every other thing that you do. Let me give you an example. So, a guy did an experiment in New York City. You know how your phone fit in your pocket like this? And the guy had a cup of coffee in his hand. And he saw someone in a train station and said, please, I'm sorry, can you just help me hold my cup of coffee, hot cup of coffee? I want to bring out my phone. And I gave the guy a script to read. Can you just help me read this script for just 30 seconds? I'll pay you for it. You know, Americans like money. You can't read them. He said, what do you think about the character? I said, the character is very, very, very nice. Hot cup of coffee. The experimenter now took another lukewarm cup of coffee that's not hot, it's not cold, it's kind of cold. He gave it to somebody else and said, he gave the person the same script. Please read this script and tell me, what do you think about the character? The guy that they gave the coffee, the lukewarm coffee, said, oh, the character is very cold. It's very unkind. Do you know what happened there? The cup of coffee that was given to them before they gave them the script had primed their brain. Oh. You don't watch that film where Will Smith do Focus. You remember when that scene in the movie where he wanted the Chinese man to pick the number 55. So he began to program his brain. This is true. This is science. As the man landed from the plane into America, the pocket square that Will Smith wore, they wrote 55 in it. The hotel that they lodged the man, right? The chandeliers, they wrote 55. The man don't know what did happen. They even gave the man a prostitute to sleep with. The tattoo where the prostitute wear for her body, they write 55. Am I talking to somebody? So when they now took him to the place where they played the gamble, when it was time for the man to pick a number, the man picked 55. You know why? They had primed. You know that you are being primed. Do you know that? Some of you, you know that you have done it to people. When your girlfriend, they come to your house that time. You change the bed sheet. You change the music. Talk to me somebody now. You dim the light. Answer me now. You are trying to, you are priming somebody. And they tell you the truth. I became a Forbes Coaches Council member sometime this year. So, I guess I want my children to go play. My children, they play football. So, my retirement, they focus on. Am I talking to somebody? I say if they pick one of them, my life done better. Am I talking to somebody? So, let me send them to England. I took a picture of myself like this. You know, say inside, if you put location, two of us, I put London, England, and then I deleted the picture. I screenshot them. This was my screensaver for months. This was my laptop for months. This was my iPad for months. This was what I talked to my children about. I would talk to my children and say, do I say Cole, they catch you? Do I say Cole, they catch you? We're going to school now. Cole is catching us in UK. Am I talking to somebody? I was priming them. Yes, sir. Hey. My environment was charged with the thing. I'll tell everybody, close your eyes. Say, visualize yourself right now. You're wearing a blue jumper. Oh my God. And they tell you the truth. So guess what? If 5 minds are focused on one thing, you will not stop you. Because the energetics is so strong. When we got the visa, I was not surprised. I was grateful. Mm-hmm. What is that sales target that you have? How long do you write it down? What do you want? Even companies, I call the names of companies. They call their name. Hey, now what for you? Me, I do my own midnight prayer in a different way. I call their name. I say, Paystack, give me a job now. That's how they call their names. Because everything can hear you. You know, say your phone, they hear you. Talk about vacation now. Your phone not on. You go open up, you go to see vacation. Two of us.
Everything hears, even the walls can hear you.